Welcome to this pre-recorded training on ELMS waiting lists and enrollment. I'm Joyce Kilmer with the State Department of Early Learning with the ECAP program, and this is part of a series of training modules on ECAP eligibility and enrollment. I'll be showing you the full list at the end of this presentation, and you can also access these modules from the ELMS news page. What we're going to talk about during this presentation is the prerequisites for enrolling a child, which are that they have to have a completed child pre-screen and a completed child application in ELMS. Then they need to be added to a waiting list in ELMS. From there, they can be enrolled in a class. And at the end of the presentation, I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can handle over-enrollment. Okay, we're going to go right into ELMS. Here, when you open ELMS, you land on the ELMS news page. I'm going to click the child page here, child tab at the top. A child can be added to the waiting list from 3 different locations in ELMS here. So one place they can be added from is the last page of their completed pre-screen. You may remember us doing this during the pre-screen module. So I'm pulling up a child here. If we look at the child Homer Simpson, they are in the status of having a completed pre-screen. If I click either on that status or over to the right on the words View Pre-Screen, I'm going to land on the last page, the 3rd step of their pre-screen, and from there I can add the child to a waiting list. So I'm going to add the child to 2 waiting lists here because that's possible. It's optional to say if a site is your first or second choice here. You check the check boxes of which site or sites you want to add the child to, and then you click the words Add to this waiting list at the bottom there. Okay, so that's how you add a child from the last page of the pre-screen. I'm going to find a child who has a completed application here, and it looks like Priscilla Priority is in the status of completed application here. I'm going to click there. I get to the last page of her application. I can add her to the waiting list by clicking on that. I'm going to add her to the waiting list for the site named Eligibility and Enrollment Center. Waiting lists are for sites rather than classes. So the site is the whole building where your ECAP program is operating for children. There may be 1 or more classes within that site. Okay, so I've checked the box that I'm adding her to this particular site. I don't feel like putting in a preference, and at the bottom I'm clicking on the words Add to Waiting List. Okay, I can see that she is added there, and I'm clicking Close. Okay, so that's how to add a child from the last page of the application. The final place to add a child to the waiting list is from the Actions column right here in ELMS. So let's say I'm looking for another child with a completed application, maybe on my next page here. Well, you know what? I can add a child to a waiting list with an incomplete application. So I'm going to choose Randa down here at the bottom, and I'm going to show you that you can click right here to add a child to the waiting list as well. I want to add her to that same site, Eligibility and Enrollment Center. I can see other information when I'm making this decision. I can see the town that that site is in. I can see how many ECAP slots are at that site total. There's 20 of them. And right now, she is expected to be in 3rd place out of 10 children on the list if I put her into this site. That means with her priority points, she's bumping up to 3rd out of the 10 on the waiting list. Clicking the button to add her to the waiting list right here. So those are the 3 ways that you can get a child onto a waiting list from either the end of their pre-screen, the end of their application, or right here from the child search page. I want to let you know that even if a child's already on a waiting list, so we have the second child here named Heike. She's on a waiting list already. I can see here which one she's on. She's on the one for the Eligibility Enrollment Center. If I want to add her to a waiting list for an additional site, I can still click the link over here to the right in the Actions column, Add to Waiting List, and add her to another site. So as long as a child has a completed pre-screen or a completed application, they can be added to a waiting list. Okay, what I want to do next is take you into the waiting list. I'm going to, here on the Child tab, I'm going to click on the words Waiting List in the peach-colored bar here. And I can select, I am in my, my contractor name is Eligibility and Enrollment Contractor, so that's my whole agency I'm working for. I don't have any subcontracted sites, so it just says Direct Service under Subcontractor here. And I have 2 sites to pick from, and I could move between their 2 waiting lists by changing that. Okay, I'm going to look here at the Eligibility Enrollment Center one. The first thing I want to show you is that you can sort how this looks here. You can sort by the children's first name, by last name, by priority points, and you can see that it is currently sorted by priority points because those words priority points are bolded right there. And then I can sort either ascending or descending. I can go points going down or points going up. So right now this list is sorted by priority points descending. Children with the 100 points are here on the top of the list, and it goes down from there. I can remove a child from the waiting list if I've heard that they moved away or they got into a Head Start class, they're no longer available here. I can click Remove. I'm going to do that down here at the bottom for Homer Simpson and remove him from the waiting list. And I'm going to enter the reason that the family moved. Click OK. I'm getting a little message that he was successfully removed from the waiting list, and I can close it. Sometimes you're using the removal from the waiting list because a child has just moved across town. You add them to one of your waiting lists and remove them from a different waiting list, something like that. Okay, so the purpose of the waiting list is so that we can determine the children with the highest need and make sure they're prioritized first and get into ECAP. We're discouraging you from using a first-come, first-serve approach to enrollment, and according to our state law, we need to make sure that the highest need children get into the system. So that's why every single child goes onto a waiting list as a first step before you can enroll them in a class in ELMS, because the waiting list is the place where you can compare the children. You can compare their priority points. There's more detail on what priority points mean in a separate training module in this series. Okay. I'm going to show you, first of all, how to enroll some children here. To enroll a child, they can be on the waiting list if they have a completed pre-screen, but they can only be enrolled if they have a completed application. So you can see here the first child, Peter, pre-screen, where it says application completed, no. We don't have an enroll button for him at this point. You click on that word no, and it would take you right to his application so that you can complete it. So the first eligible child I have to enroll right now is the next one, Wendy Waitlist. I'm glad to know that Peter's showing at the top of this list, because that's telling me we have a child with very high likelihood of being prioritized for ECAP, high risk factors, or very low income, or foster care, or something like that. And that he's a 4-year-old if he has 100 points. Well, and it says age 4 right here. So we've got a child who's really probably should be getting into ECAP, and we haven't finished their application yet. So that's what you can learn from this list here. But right now, Wendy Waitlist is the first one that I have ready to go. because it says application completed, yes. I can start her by clicking the Enroll button here. That expanded her section of this page here, and I need to add some information. I need to choose her class, and so here I can see that there's 3 classes. One of them is called the application class, and it has 7 slots available of the 7 ECAP slots within that class. Enrollment class has 6 slots available of the 7 slots. So I'm going to put her in the enrollment class there. If I wanted to see the class roster so far, I could click this button to see it, this link, see who else is in the class. I need to put in her expected start date. So I'm hearing that she's available to start on September 15th. And then I also need to pick her family support specialist. All your family support specialists for your entire agency that contracts with the Department of Early Learning, all those family support specialists will be on this list, and you can pick the one that's the correct one to assign to that child. After you've entered those 3 pieces of information, the class, the expected start date, and the family support specialist, then you come back to the right and click the Enroll button one more time. And I've got the message that she successfully enrolled in that class. Okay, I'm going to go back to the child search page. And again, find a child with a completed application or a child on the waiting list. Okay, I've got a child named Jason here. And I can see that, I can tell that he has a completed application because I've got, over on the far right, I've got 2 actions. I've got View Prescreen, which means that the prescreen is completed so I could view it, and I've got View Application, so that means the application is completed and I could see it. If it said Create Application, or his status was Incomplete Application, I'd know that that application is not ready to enroll him. The other reason I can tell this even more quickly is the Enroll action button is here. So I would want to know, I'm going to actually skip down to Priscilla here, because what I know is that Priscilla has 100 points. She is a priority child for enrolling into ECAP, and so I can take the shortcut of enrolling her here from the search page. You wouldn't want to enroll from the child search page unless you had already compared the children with other eligible children and know that they're the priority to enroll. But I can click here and on Enroll for Priscilla. I'm selecting where I want to enroll her, so I want to be at that site. I'm clicking the Enroll button once more, putting her class in, her expected start date. Later, after she actually attends, I'll be putting in her actual start date. I can do that in the monthly report, or I can do that in bulk updates. We'll be showing those in later modules. But right now I'm just putting in the guess of when we think she's coming, so this slot gets held for her. Picking her family support worker, and then clicking Enroll one more time, and I can see that Priscilla is in. Okay. I can close that. Close that. I'm going to come back to my waiting list again now. I've got my waiting list open for the Eligibility and Enrollment Center here. And I'm going to find another child with a completed application. So Roger Ramos has a completed application. He has 95 points. I'm going to want to get those other incomplete applications done really, really soon, but I want to demonstrate another entry here. So I want to show you what happens if I enter Roger and clicking Enroll. And I'm putting him in this class called Application Class. And I'm putting in his start date. And I'm checking that that's the right family support worker. Clicking Enroll. Whoop, and he successfully enrolled. So that's not the class I thought I was enrolling him in. Okay, so I'm going to try one more here. I'm going to try enrolling Jason. So I'm trying to show you a glitch here. And I'm saying I want to enroll Jason in the waitlist class on that same day, same family support worker. And the enroll button is now gone here from the right side. And it says over enroll. That can mean that the school year has not yet started and the teachers have not yet been assigned. So I'm exceeding the ratio here. It's not going to ever let me exceed more than 20 children in a class, but it will let me enroll before the teacher gets assigned for the class up till the day the class starts. After that, I always have to have the teacher in. So I'm going to over-enroll this class. I'm kind of busting up the ratio for this class temporarily, but the class hasn't even started yet, so it's okay. And now I can see that Jason is successfully over-enrolled in that class. Over-enrollment is available in that situation when the teacher is not yet assigned and the class hasn't started yet. It's also allowed if you have other funding sources that fund ECAP, and you are, so in some places the county puts in extra money for ECAP slots, or your school district does. As long as you're not exceeding the class size of 20 and you're not exceeding the adult to child ratio that's full-time in the class of 1 adult to 9 children, you'll have the option to over-enroll slots with those children that you are funding with additional ECAP dollars. So they're not state dollars that come to you from ECAP, they're ECAP dollars that come from elsewhere. So that's how the over-enroll function works. There are times that if you attempt to enroll a child and you have not yet set up the class schedule for the year, that you're going to get a pop-up message that says that. And in that case, if you have the rights to set up a class schedule, you could go in yourself and do it, or you might have to refer that to your supervisor and have them set up the class schedule before you can start enrolling children. There's one more option for enrollment, which is a bulk enrollment. If you are putting a number of children in the same class with the same start dates, this would probably only happen in the fall when a bunch of them might be starting all at once, with the same family support worker, then you can use this link at the top of the page on the right that says switch to bulk enrollment. I'm going to click on it now. What bulk enrollment does is it has me put in the class, choose the class, choose the class start date for all the children I want to select, choose the family support worker for all the children I want to select, and then it's asking me to select all the children. I'm selecting all the children. There's only one who has a completed application, so in this case only one child's going to go into the class here. But if I did select all and more were available, they would all be available. If I clicked select all and I didn't want to enroll one of the children, you can see that down here on the lower right I have a checkbox to unselect some of the individual children. At this point I'm going to click that I want to enroll the selected children, and that child was in. So if you were starting 10 children on the same day, this would be a quick way to do it, to do the switch to bulk enrollment. I can click at the upper right where it says switch to individual enrollment and go back to that individual mode. So that's how I can go between individual and bulk enrollment. Okay. I want to show you the other modules that are in this series here. The first one, the eligibility and enrollment overview, is very important. It goes over the requirements, the ECAP requirements that are related to this topic. There's separate modules for how to do the pre-screen that walks you through the ELMS entry in the pre-screen, a separate module for the application. And then today we were looking at the waiting list and enrollment module. The additional modules on this list will be available. As they're available, they'll be on the ELMS news site. Anytime you have suggestions or need help with ELMS, the best way to get that information to us is to email elms@del.wa.gov. We're responding immediately to most requests these days. There's several of us who are watching this email at all times during business hours, and so we will respond as quickly as we possibly can. This is your best way to get support. Please don't use the phone or other methods. This is the way to do it. So thanks for your time and attention today. Good luck with getting your children all enrolled.